In this video, we are going to have so much fun playing with different techniques. We have one card, 4 different ways. Here we're going to use the ink with our sponge per the workshop instruction. Here we are going to add in textured paste. Here we are going to use Distress Oxide and ink along with a fun little smushing technique. And lastly, we are going to use our gloss sprays. Let's get started making these fun cards. For these techniques, you're going to want your all-purpose mat for easy cleanup, a box to contain our spray. You're going to want your gloss spray, your textured paste, a palette knife, a foam tool, your Distressed Oxide ink and peacock feathers, your avocado ink, 4 card bases. Oops, got something on that one. 4 card bases, and a little plastic bag. I used the little baggie that came in the workshop that had the little hearts in it. Okay, so let's get started here. I have our 4 cards up top here with the 4 different techniques so that we can look at them, and we are going to start with the sponging of the avocado ink. This one is per the workshop instruction. So I have my avocado ink here. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit down on my mat. That was probably a little bit more than I needed, but put a little bit down on my mat here, and I'm going to take my foam tool and pick up some of that ink, and I'm going to start in a circular motion, just putting a little bit of that ink down on my paper. You can do it lighter or darker. If you don't have this foam tool, you can use a sponge. You can use a sponge dauber. All kinds of different options there. Okay, and then I'm just blending it out a little bit. Okay, and I haven't stamped our butterflies yet. We're doing this so that this part can dry first, but just to get an idea, our butterfly will be there and the green is going to be around it. So I'm just... Okay, so there is card number 1 with our sponging. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and set that aside. Next, I'm going to leave this avocado green here, and I am going to add a touch of textured paste. These techniques are so fun, but they are so simple. Okay, so I'm going to put a little textured paste down here. So I've got the textured paste, opaque mat. Okay, and I'm just going to mix this in with that avocado green. Okay, the more ink you put, the darker it'll be. And this is what's nice about the all-purpose mat, because everything cleans up real nice and easy here. Nothing will stick to our all-purpose mat. I'm going to move that sponge out of the way because I don't want to get textured paste on it. Okay, so now I have that mixed up, and you'll see that I kind of just have it looks kind of sponged on here. How I did that was I took my little baggie. We're going to use this baggie for 2 different techniques, so only use one side of it. Okay, so I have the little baggie, and I just did a little of this. Okay, and I didn't smear it because I want that bump look on there, so I'm just tapping it into the textured paste, and then I'm going to put it down here like this. There is no right or wrong. Sorry, I'm shaking the camera. There is no right or wrong. You do it however you want, how much or how little. Okay, so there is our textured paste for this one. Now this one's going to need to dry, so I'm going to be careful where I set that, and I'm going to move it aside. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and do another one. So as many of these as you're doing, you'll want to do them before we clean up, right? So I did one of each, but because I have extra textured paste here and I don't want to waste it, I'm just going to do another card base for a future card. Sorry, I'm shaking the camera. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and set that aside. Then I am going to keep my baggie, set that aside as well. Make sure I don't spray on my cards. I'm going to put a little water here and a little paper towel, and we're going to clean this up. And look at how nicely this wipes up on that all-purpose mat. Everything cleans right up. I'm going to wipe my tool here. Okay. Now, normally I would take my tools over to the sink and wash them, but for the sake of video, I will wash them after, but I did clean it up so it doesn't harden. Now that textured paste won't harden on our mat. It'll clean right up off this mat here, but it will stick to your tools. So you want to make sure that you clean your tools really well. Okay, so make sure that I don't have any textured paste on there. Okay, so now we are ready to move on to our third technique here, which is the Distressed Oxide and the avocado ink. And I did a little bit of a smooshing technique in there. So again, I'm going to take and put the inks down here on my mat. So there is our peacock feathers, and I'm going to put the avocado over here. Okay. And I did spray a little bit of water. I'm being careful because I don't want to get water on my cards that we've already created, right? So a little bit of water. Okay, I'm going to bring in another card base. So I'm going to set it over here so I'm not setting it into my stuff. I'm going to take the other side of the baggie. So we're going to put the green side up. I'm going to use this side now. And I'm going to tap it in these colors. Okay. However you want to do. And then there we have this technique. Okay. How fun is that? Are you guys having fun? Look at how fun and creative this is. Okay, again, you can do it as little or as much as you'd like. Okay, so now I'm going to set this aside to dry. And I'm going to clean up my mess. Again, everything will just wipe right off our all-purpose mat. I got a little bit off my mat here, so I'm going to go ahead and get that up so it doesn't stain. Okay. All right, and then I'm going to set this aside, my baggie. So I wiped off the inks, but the textured paste, I'm just going to leave that to dry that way. Okay. All right. So now our last one that we're going to do is our spray. So I'm going to bring in a box for this one. So you'll want to have a box or something to contain your spray. Okay, so I just have a close to my heart box here. And I'm going to put my card base here. Okay, and so we're going to spray on the right side of the card. Okay, there we go. Look at how easy that is. And you want to make sure that you wipe the tip of this off because it is a paint. that will dry and seal, and you won't be able to spray it very easily. So you want to make sure that you clean the tip of the sprayer before you put it away. So look at how fun this is. We have created our backgrounds for 4 different cards. So let me get them lined back up here. So we have our textured paste, we have our spray, our distressed. Okay, so here we have, let's see if I can get them back in order. This one was there, and here's our textured paste. So we have our 4 backgrounds. We will let them go ahead and dry before we complete our cards. Look at how fun that is. Can you imagine the possibilities of all the great scrapbook layouts and cards you can make using these techniques and all the different colors, right? So I will see you in part 2 of this video where we assemble the cards. See you soon. While we have our box out, we are going to go ahead and do our gloss spray for a few of the other cards that we are going to be making. So we're going to do gloss spray for card number 2, for this one, and this one, as well as this card and this card. Okay, so we're going to do 4 more while we have our box out here. So these ones, we're going to actually do the whole card front, where the other one, the first one we just did on the right side. I'm going to go ahead and do the whole card for this one. Make sure we shake our spray real good before we use it. Okay, and I'm going to just go ahead and it's fun to play with the gloss spray, how close you are, how far apart you are, how you press down, all makes a difference in how your splatter comes out on your card. So those are things to play with. Maybe you want to use a scrap paper before you do your first spray so you can see what it's going to look like. And this is a paint, so you want to be careful what you get it on. Is going to, like clothing and your things like that, it's not going to clean up as easily. Of course, on our all-purpose mat, it will wipe up, but on clothing and things like that, it does not wipe up, clean up easily. Okay. All right, so there we have 4 more card bases for a total of 5 sprayed. So I'm going to move our box out of the way. Remember, I'm going to go ahead and wipe this tip off here so that it doesn't harden there and prevent it from spraying next time. Okay, and then once these dry, we'll be ready to create those cards. Now that our card bases are dry, we can move on to stamping and assembling our cards. If you like measurements, you'll see here on our workshop guide, it tells us exactly where to place each piece. So here it says we're going to start 1/4 from the edge of our card. Of course, the Creative Design Studio option may not always follow these directions exactly, but you know if you are completing the cards per this workshop that you can follow these instructions here. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is bring in our card base here. This is the one that we did the avocado ink and our foam tool, right? I have my mat here, my Versamat, so that I can line things up. And I also brought in just a small all-purpose mat that I've cut that I'm using here on the side for my adhesive. I have my piercing tool. The piercing tool is going to be helpful to poke out any of these pieces in the film strip if you need it. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We are actually going to stamp 4 of these butterflies. Now it all depends on how many cards you're making, and in this particular example, I made 1 per the workshop instruction, and then I made 3 others. So I am going to go ahead and stamp 4 of the butterflies. I have my butterfly on a black, and I'm going to use the Intense Black ink, because you always want to use Intense Black ink when you are using markers or shimmer brush or watercolors, because the Intense Black will not run and smear your inking. So we're going to go ahead and get started with that. My squeaky chair. And it's nice that you can see right through it to line it up. I'm going to use my chamois to clean my butterfly. And there we have our 4 butterflies. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and set those aside for now. I'm going to leave that. All right. And then we are going to take our card base and our white piece and our film strip. And you see I have these little pieces that I can poke out here. Get those little pieces out. Okay. Punch out all these little pieces in your film strip. I could have set my pressure up on my die cutting machine a little bit. The Close to My Heart has a pressure dial. I was cutting more than one of these at a time, which is so nice, and this must have been the second one or third one in the group together. If I would have put my pressure up a little bit, it probably would have gotten all these out, but having the piercing tool works just great to pop them out. When I put my adhesive down, if I accidentally get a little adhesive on the other side, which is easy to do on these little pieces, the Rub and Remove eraser will remove all of that also. Real easy. Okay. And we're going to do 4 of these. And now we should have 4 of our film strips created. Next, we're going to go ahead and stamp our film strip pieces. We're going to use the Intense Black ink. And I have all of our little pieces up here already on the blocks. And put my example here. And we'll go ahead and stamp those. And this one's going to have our words in it, so we can skip that one for now. We're going to use our avocado ink to stamp our leaves on that top one, our greenery here. And Intense Black for the flower. And we're going to do this for all 4 of our foam strips. Okay, so now we have our 4 film strips stamped. I'm going to set those aside for a minute. And we're going to bring in 4 of these little pieces. Let's see, I wanted on the lighter side. Remember, our cardstock is 2-sided, so you want to be sure that you're choosing the right side. I might have to dig out some more of those. I don't know where I put them. There's another one. So we have 4 of them, okay? And then this is going to be our thanks. So I'm just going to go ahead and clean this one off so I can put it away and pull out our thanks. I'm sure I'm looking right at it. Oh, right there. My goodness. And in this, we're going to do a generation stamping technique. So you're going to ink it up. And your first one is going to be direct. And then you're going to stamp it without re-inking it. You're going to stamp it 2 more times. Okay, so you have a first generation, a second generation, and a third generation. And I'm going to use my chamois to wipe this, probably better than using my finger. Like I did the last time. Okay, so we're going to go ahead, first generation. Oops. no inking, second generation and third generation. Okay, first, second, third. First, second, whoop, and third. Okay, so now we have those done, and we're going to put those in our piece here. Again, if you get adhesive over the edge like I just did there, just use your rub and remove eraser. We'll get it right out. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and set those aside. Now that we've given our intense black a little bit of time to dry on our butterflies, we can go ahead and do some coloring on them. And the workshop suggests that we use the aqua blue blend, the yellow green blend, and the citrus blend. You can color these however you would like, and I think on the directions it tells you also it says use the light side of mink, which we did, and it says add color of the butterfly with the lightest aqua blue and the lightest yellow green. Now you can do these however you want. There are 3 shades in there, and sometimes I did use the other shades other than just the lightest of aqua and the lightest of the yellow blue. So we have these two. I'm going to set that one aside. And if you're not familiar with our Tri-Blend markers, they are alcohol-based markers with 3 shades in one, which make it so nice for shading and blending of your colors. Let me put this one back together the right way so we can see. So you have your light, your mid, and your dark of each of the colors. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to color in the base here with that lightest color of our butterfly. And this one I didn't stamp quite as dark, but that's okay because we're adding that little bit of color in there anyway, so that will help. Okay, and then I am going to go ahead and put a little bit of the mid color in here. You don't have to do that, but I just wanted to add a little bit more dimension to the color, which is nice with the Tri-Blend markers. Okay. And then I'm going to come in with a little bit of the light on the aqua. And you can do this however you want, but I did around the edges here, its little ends, the butterfly. And then I did also come in and do some of the lines. And no 2 butterflies are the same, so don't feel like you have to do them all the same. And you think that adding this little bit of color onto this paper might not make much of a difference, but it does. Look at the difference it makes in the dimension and the coloring of the butterfly. Okay, and we're going to do all 4 of these however you want to do them. All right, and there we have all 4 of our butterflies colored. Okay, so we are going to bring in our first card base, which is the one that we did the foam tool on. And I'm putting it on my mat here so that I can check my measurements. And we're going to use our little piece. I can go ahead and put these away as we're done with these for a little bit. And again, my all-purpose mat works nice on these little pieces because the adhesive sticks on that mat and it'll wipe right up. And we know here that we want to start 1/4 from the edge, so I have my mat here so that I can line it up and make sure that I am straight at both the top and the bottom. Okay, next is going to go our film strip. See, I should put that over here so I'm not getting adhesive on my other mat. Okay, and then our butterfly. And I did put foam tape behind all of mine. I'm using one of our foams that goes with our shaker. This is for an oval shaker, so this piece here would be used for your shaker, and the inside is used for foam tape. So I'm just going to put a little bit in the center there. And what's fun about these butterflies is you can kind of mold their wings a little bit to give them a little bit more dimension. You can see how I kind of folded the wings in a little bit. Okay, and then we have our little hearts. See, my heart's just slightly out of my reach here. Let me grab a few. All right, so we will go ahead and put a few of these little hearts in. And I would probably use, you can use a glue dot, or you can use liquid glass. These little hearts here are real delicate, so you want to be careful when you're putting your adhesive on them that you don't break them. And there is almost card number 1 complete. We need to go ahead and do our coloring. So I'm going to start with the lighter color. Again, I'm using our yellow-green blend. Okay, do this one over here. And I will come back and do some of the other shading and colors in there as well, but I am just starting with all of the light first. Okay, and then I'm going to do medium. So that's the nice thing about these markers, you have all the different shades. Okay, and then we have the blue for our flower. I'm going to come back with the medium in the center of our flower also. All right, and there we have card number 1 done, and we're going to do this 3 more times with each of our samples. So here's our textured paste, and then here's our textured paste. Oops, I did this one both that way. You can do it either or. I actually like both ways, so we will do this one the same as our sample. You can paper, the Close to My Heart paper is 2-sided. Now when you're going over this textured paste, you want to make sure you have a good amount of adhesive to go over that so it'll stick. Okay. Okay, and there is card number 2. We can add our shimmer brush on here. Look at how pretty this will be if we add some shimmer in here. Oh, I hope you can see that on camera, how pretty that looks. You can also add liquid glass. Hopefully you can see that on the camera okay. Look how pretty that is. All right, so now we have our textured paste 1 complete. We are going to do our Distressed Oxide. I just love how this turned out with the Distressed Oxide, so pretty. Right where you want it. Okay. And our last one of this design is our gloss spray. Have you seen how pretty that gloss spray is? It's got just so much fun shimmer to it. So pretty. I'm gonna go ahead and put this one. So many different coloring tips and tricks for coloring. I think Barbara actually did in one of our creative, not in Creative Design Studios, but in Sunday Scoops. I think she did a coloring demonstration. Okay, so there we are. We have our card number 1 done with 4 different techniques, all super fun and exciting. It's fun to get a little messy and a little creative and just play with that mixed media a little bit. So we've got our sponging of our ink here. We've got our gloss spray. We've got our distressed oxides in water. Also the distressed oxides and our regular ink with a little water and a little smushing technique. And we have our, oops, I brought that one in twice, didn't I? Where's our other one? Our textured paste, where'd it go? There it is, our textured paste here, and the avocado ink. Super fun. All right, my friends, I will see you in card number 2.